All right. We have passed yet? Yes, we are. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure how many people are watching. This is our last workshop for Music, Drama and Dance Education Conference. The live streams have gone nuts. And we really appreciate it. I really thank you for watching, for the people that came to see it, all the tutors we've utilised with amazing skills. So I'd like to thank Danny Urquhart, Lee Clark, and brain, I'm very tired. Mark Reeves and the dance coach Rebecca Dorsey. And I'd like to thank the Otago Museum. We did some, I did some actual in-person workshops there with some amazing young songwriters who I hope we'll see again in future ones. And I'd like to have give a big thanks, a huge thank you to Creative New Zealand, the New Zealand Arts Council, and the Waitaki District Council. So I'd like to thank them. My computer's telling me to close a couple of applications, so give me a second. It'll just make it run faster. Okay. Smith. That. Okay, so we're going to get pretty much straight into this, and we're going to do it in a very unique style that I've wanted to try in a workshop for a very long time, and I think it needs to be a live stream workshop that this is done for. So I've been planning this one for a wee while. So this is a rapid fire workshop. So that means I'm going to give you the information fast. New Zealanders, we're known for speaking fast already. So this might be intense if you're watching from somewhere else in the world. But that's okay too. So the idea behind it being rapid fire is that we have a nice quick workshop, and this is something you can take away and watch the sections repetitively, because the whole journey of going from a beginner guitarist to an advanced guitarist is a huge area. So we're only going to broach some of the subjects today, and we're going to broach them quite fast. There's a resource in the event. If you go back out into the event, you will find a chart there with an idea on the Nashville number system and the circle of fifths and things like that, and we'll quick reference those quite a bit, and I want you to have a look. And I'm going to try not to use my whiteboard because to read at times. So yeah, we'll see how we go with that. If I do need to write something, I will write it. But everything's in that chart. You can follow that chart for all the things to do with the circle of fifths, the cage system, chord vocabulary, and musical alphabet. And there's advanced versions of all of this stuff as well that will take us much further. But today's workshop will, what we're trying to do is get past that wall. So people learn a bunch of things based on probably what we call the cage system. So we'll go into in-depth detail about what the cage system is, because it's not just one thing. I've seen lots of videos where people talk about the cage system, and it's like this is what the cage system is, and then they're 3 minutes, and then they're done. They're like, that's the cage system is spectacular, and I'm still finding new things to do with the cage system, and I started seriously playing guitar in end of 1994, which was a long time ago, last century. So first couple of things I want to brush past is people that come to lessons are always not necessarily wanting to do all the hard yards of the music theory, the technique stuff, and all the supposedly boring stuff. I'm happy to make my money on the boring stuff because it's absolutely vital, so vital to you as a player. So I'm going to give you a quick fire run over some technical basics, and one's called 4 fingers, 4 frets. I got this exercise off Slash from Guns N' Roses, which is why I thought it was cool to start with, and then I just went, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing thing I've ever come across, and it's used in all my classes to this day, and I found that exercise around 1996. So it goes like this. We take a hand into a sandwich shape, and so like a good sandwich has got all the stuff in it. If you don't hold it correct, all the good stuff falls out, and then you're just eating some gummy, disgusting, gluten-filled bread. And if you take the same approach to your guitar, you put your thumb at the back of the fretboard, fingers all on the front, and we're using the ball of the finger in the center of the fret, and we're going to play like this all the way across. So 1 finger per fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our plan is to go all the way down. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you get a bit of fret buzz like we just had then while I was rushing, take your time. Take your time. And then we go backwards. So this is worth going through lots of times to get your foundation techniques correct before you go on. Speed's all good, but if you can't do it accurately, it's going to be a real problem. Okay. The next thing that's really important to understand is to understand your fretboard. If you're going to move on from just your basic open chords, whether it's Cheeks chords, which are made famous by your Ed Sheerans and bands like Oasis use them a lot, and they make everything easy. It makes everything easy. So if you're going to move on from them into bar chords and other open bar shapes that work all over the fretboard, you need to know your musical alphabet. So the musical alphabet here, I'm going to break my rules straight away, and I'm going to go to the whiteboard. The whiteboard, I don't know how clear it's going to be on the screen, but I'll upload into the event. I will upload a chart that shows this really clearly, that you can go back to. And the important thing about the musical alphabet is it's similar to the usual alphabet, but it's smaller. So we start with A. I'll make this as big as I can. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then back to A. So there's no H in the musical alphabet. So between A and B there's a note that's called A sharp, and there's nothing between B and C and E and F, just like on the piano where you've got the black notes and the white notes, and there's gaps where there's no black notes. So you get sets of 2 and sets of 3, black notes. Where the gaps are, that's where E, B and C join up, and E and F, and there's no sharp note in between. So after C is C sharp, D sharp, F sharp after F, and G sharp. The easiest thing to remember for this is that there's no such thing as B sharp or E sharp. All right. A sharp has two names. It's A sharp or B flat. Like I said, we're going through this rapid fire. You can rewind it, which shows my age. you can skip back at any time and watch it over and over again after this live is finished. So C sharp is also called D flat. E sharp is also called E flat. F sharp, its other name is G flat. G sharp is also called A flat. You can also go on Google. Uncle Google's got the answers to a lot of things. There's a couple of full keys that Uncle Google doesn't seem to understand very well, which is a good thing. Where humans need to have all this knowledge as well as machines. We're in trouble. All right, so I hope that makes sense, and I'm seeing that on the other screen, and it was reasonably clear, so that's not too bad, but I'll put a really good version in the discussion board of the event. Cool. So that there is, you can reference that. So we started with A because that's where the musical alphabet starts. Whatever your string is, so E string at the top. So the strings go E, A, D, G, B, E, or Eddie 8 Dynamite. Goodbye Eddie is an abbreviation. That works for some of my younger students. They find that fun. If your name starts with E and you're in my classroom, you will become you'll be replacing Eddie on the occasion. Cool. So, if no matter what string you start on, your open string, so open E, then goes to F, just like on our chart, you can follow it, F sharp, G, G sharp. If you're on the A string, it's exactly what's written. So A is the open string, A sharp or B flat is the next one, C, C sharp, D, etc. And you can work your way all over the fretboard doing that. And just really apply that knowledge, because you will be able to find what we're going on with next, where it gets really exciting with the cage system. You will be able to find all your notes, the root notes that name the chords, because you'll take a shape and move it. You'll be like, well, how's it a C if it's up there? It's not anymore. So we'll work through that. The dots on the guitars. This guitar's dots are very small and made of seashell, so it's pawa. And so they're harder to see, and there's dots on the top. So if you've got your guitar in your hand, I want you to be looking at the dots, or if the dots are on the front alone. They should all be the same, but classical guitars have they miss some dots. They've only got like the 3 in the middle, which confuses me. I don't know what that's for. Lots of guitars built more recently have dropped the first dot, which is probably, for where we are right now, if you're watching this, that's your most important one to start with, to know that that's your G, because you've got your G-shaped chord and you're right on that 3rd fret. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, and 12th fret has 2 dots, which means the whole fretboard is starting again. So open E to 12th fret is E again. Okay? So E, A, D, G, B, E. So these dots are reference points. So what we use them for is to make note of what they are at each dot on the first two strings are the most important, the E string and the A string. You will find later you're going to want to know it in lots of different positions. But the E string is the same as the bottom string as well. So if your root note is based down here, well, you'll know it from the top as well. So a little pattern we use for that is we name the dots on both strings, and we play it and say it. So what that means is that we will confirm the knowledge in our head by going G, C, and then we go the next dot, A, D, B, E, C sharp, F sharp, E, A. So I'll go over that again really quickly, because this is rapid fire, remember? G, C, A, D, B, E, C sharp, F sharp, E, A. It's okay if that takes a while. It's taken lots of players, lots of years. There's some players that are really good players, but they still don't know some of that stuff and they get lost. It's held lots of players back over the years. So vital you learn that for what we're about to go on with. So we're going to go on to the Nashville number system before we go any further, and the circle of fifths. So the chart that's already in the discussion board of this event has all the, I think it's all of them. I didn't put my usual one up there, but it looked really tidy, the one I put in. I'll replace it if I don't like it later. And it explains how a key works. So let's just start with the key of C, and the reason we start with the key of C, and all these things start with the key of C, is there are no sharps or flats. So it's all the notes that are naturally occurring in the key of C. You don't go into sharps or flats. So if you look at a piano, it's all the white notes. So when you hear kids thumping away at a keyboard and you're like, that sounds really good. What are they playing? Do they know how to play? It's because they're playing in the key of C, so everything is correct until they touch one of those black notes. And you see the pattern of the musical alphabet here extremely clearly. Cool. So key of C, you go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Again, the alphabet never changes. So whatever letter you start on, you continue along the alphabet till you get to G and then go back to A. So our musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back to A. So now we're in the key of C with no sharps. We've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, and without going into too much music theory about how chords are made, we naturally occur, we get a C major chord, D minor chord, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major. So major chords are happy, minor chords are sad. The diminished, like what the intervals that are used in horror films. So like if you watch Jaws, or they're diminished intervals. Sometimes they use diminished chords in some of the horror films just to get that sharp horror sound, and you just get startled. And that's what the diminished chord sounds like. It's not one we use very often in contemporary music, and there is an alternative to use in the place when we get onto extended chords, but that's a huge music theory lesson that look out for. I'll do in the future, and have lessons on that for sale on the website in the near future. Cool. And just for humour's sake, in case you're going through this a little bit more, I'll quickly write out the key of G, which is the next in the circle of fifths. So we get A, G, A, B, C, D, E. Oh, that doesn't even look like a letter. Hopefully you can't see it too well. F sharp, diminished, back to G. So your new sharp will always happen on the 7th degree. So again, that's a whole music theory lesson. So the idea of this and going through that and going, oh, is that the rules? So you don't even have to fully understand it to go, is that the rules? And just obey the rules to start with while you get used to how a key works. Pay attention to the rules and you'll start going, oh, I can play in, even if you've only got those bare basic chords that just about everybody has, where your B minor is your problem. So the chords that break people in guitar lessons often is B minor and F. But there are easier ways to broach them at the beginning. So, all right, so let's talk about, so that's the Nashville number system and the circle of fifths. I don't actually have the answer to why it's called the Nashville number system. I will have that prepared, ready for some theory workshops that I've got coming up. I'll find out the actual reason. We just, it might have just started being used there because it's strange because it's called the Nashville number system, but they use Roman numerals to depict the steps of the key or the degrees of the key. So C in the key of C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll spend some more time on that. So let's have a look a little at what is called the caged system. And I've seen lots of videos on this, and I've found lots of people have lots of good ideas about it. But the more I get to know the caged system, the more I realise it's all encompassing. Like everything we're looking for is inside that system. People have said, I've watched videos that were like less than 3 minutes long, and all they explained was this bit, which is not wrong, but it's only the first part. If you abbreviate caged and you get the letters C-A-G-E-D, that it's based on the C chords, the C chord, the A chord, the G chord, the E chord, the D chord. That is a really good start. That's what I would say about those 3-minute videos, is it's a good start. It really is. But it's not every piece of information that you need. So C has a major variation. So C major, which most of you watching this will probably know a C major chord. There's a C minor chord. There's a diminished chord, which is roughly what we've covered so far. Then there's suspendeds, ninths, and lots of other things, augmented chords. This is getting a little bit advanced, and this is a big music theory thing. But if you know some of those chords, when we talk about the chord vocabulary, will probably open up your eyes to a heap more. So the ones we're going to look at today alone is the A chords and the E chords. So and these are the basis of our bar chords. So this is where we use A major and A minor, E major and E minor. Cool. So let's quickly look at these chords. I'm going to move my board. Oh, this is why I don't like using whiteboards. They're always in the way. All right. So when we've got our C chords, G chord, and A major chords, so I'll play it with the right fingers because I've got chubbier fingers, so I have lots of little of tricks. I can use just one finger for that. A, G, E, and D, and you might have an E minor and an A minor. That's what most people learn at the very beginning. And it's not just, I'm going to throw an opinion out there that upsets some guitar teachers, and I'm not really too worried. But most of us find the wall is there where you've got those chords, and there's a lot of songs you can play with those, and you don't really need to. Some people feel like they don't really need to move forward, and that's all right. But it's probably because they've already hit the wall, and the wall is, how do I learn other chords? Oh, they look really hard. All bar chords, no, they're scary. They hurt. Is one I hear all the time. Let me dispel a couple myths about bar chords. Bar chords do hurt. There's no two ways about it. But one thing people forget about playing music is that we are athletes. I'm definitely not an athlete. But we're like athletes where people turn around and say, oh, I'm a trained singer, I'm a trained guitar player, a trained pianist. Good. Trained is past tense. So if an athlete comes to you and they're a harrier or a runner and say, I'm a trained harrier, you're like, oh, okay. What they mean by that, I'm trained to do it, doesn't mean they're doing it at that time. They might be, but they will probably say, their focus will be one-eyed. They're training at the time. So like, it just sounds like I'm being pedantic about the English of it, but it's the same thing. If you're a trained guitar player, you should be in training, because bar chords do cause pain in here, sometimes in the wrist if you're doing it wrong and you haven't got your thumb on the back like we talked about. If you're getting pain when we go through this, you need to go back to those exercises. And having your thumb straight up and down on the back. Not playing peekaboo too often. Some chords, your thumb will sit there, but when we get onto bar chords, your thumb wants to be straight up and down on the back like this. Yep. Cool. So we're going to look at the E chord. So E major, E minor, A major and A minor, and what's important about them. So everybody learns them, well, most people have learnt them without the finger numbers to show you how to play them. So you're just like, oh, so I can use these fingers here. Sounds good, sounds like A, that works. And then you find out that in a major chord, which is based on an A major shape, is like this. And you're like, well, but what if I learned A with these fingers and kept the bar finger free? Then you're not struggling with the pain that's caused by the bar finger at the same time. Excuse my fingering, I've got one finger version that is that chord shape. I'll just play it the easy way for me. But because that finger's free, I'm not relearning how to play the shape, so I can then move these shapes around, the full shape. So if we look at A minor and we play it not using our first finger, so we start with finger 2 on the C note, and then what we call our sticky fingers in my lessons, because they'll go everywhere into your Fs, your B minors, your millions of chord shapes will use those two fingers together. But if you're using them for the same fingers all the time in that shape, that's fine. But if you're using these fingers, you're not using the pinky, and you're discovering when learning bar chords you're having pain in here caused by this finger, and then this pinky just doesn't know what to do because you've done nothing to train it. So back to, for training it, 4 fingers, 4 frets. And when we play these 4 bar chord shapes, E major, bar finger is free. Still sounds like E major. E minor, you're using just the 2 smaller fingers, fingers 3 and 4. So fingers 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, we don't count the thumb because it's not a finger. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so keeping finger 1 free on the E major, E minor, A minor, which is the same shape as E major, which is why we get so much use out of bar chords in the future. And then A major, still bar finger free. So let's go to the E-shaped bar chord. What is our time? Oh, that's good. Yeah, we're ploughing through this as fast as I want to. So again, if I'm moving too fast for you, this is intentional. This is a rapid fire workshop that you can, with the replay, you can go over it several times. And I really encourage you to do so. And just look at some of the concepts over and over again. This could take you from a beginner guitarist that just knows your C, G, E minor, D, maybe A minor, F if you've really pushed hard, and maybe a B minor. Those are the for beginners. That's the go-to chords, and people get broken on the B minor and the F because essentially they're bar chords. And if you use the finger positions I was just talking about with your bar finger free, moving into B minor is just sliding the A minor up 2 frets and putting your bar finger down on fret 2 and just playing those 4 bottom strings. So you're playing essentially an open bar chord. So you're not playing the 2 top strings at all. And you've got a really beautiful B minor chord. Arguably it hasn't got the same presence as a full bar chord because you've got these low notes as well, which create really big character to your playing. So let's go to the E shape, and this will be the one we spend most of our time on. So remember, our root notes are going to appear on the E string and the A string. So what we went through before with the G, C, A, D, B, E, C sharp, F sharp, E, A, they are the root notes for your chords. So your E-shaped chords, E major and E minor, they're based on the E string. So if you play an E-shaped chord and your bar finger is on the G note at the top, we can do an open bar at the beginning if you need to on a few of the chords, and I'll take you through which ones those are as an exercise at the end. Okay, so if our bar finger is on G and it's an E-shaped chord on the G string, you'll find the G, that names your chord. So it's a major chord, so it's G major. A G major chord with an E-shaped bar chord. So some people find that hard to go, what has an E and a G at the same time? It's not, it's a G chord based on the shape that you used for G. So one thing I've taught a lot of my students to do is write that information down. It's an E-shaped bar chord on the G note. So it becomes a G major chord. So your G found on your E string. One thing I've found with all my students is the ones I can convince to write stuff down, they will retain the information a whole lot quicker than students that don't. Some people are just really quick and they have a photographic memory. And that's okay if that's who you are. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you have got a photographic memory and then forget all of what we've just learnt. If writing it down is going to help, do it. If you find you're struggling to learn anything, whether it's one of my sessions or whether it's something someone else is teaching you, try writing it down. Just take notes and go, oh, okay, go back on it. And if you've learnt from rereading it, you'll every time you do that, it'll teach you some more. So the other thing you can do is write it out and keep repeating it to yourself. Sometimes rewriting it over and over again helps for a lot of people. Find how you learn. It will help you play. Cool. So when we put all this together, and we've got an E-shaped chord at G becomes G. G minor is in the same position. And then we find the easiest positions for all these chords. So if we go down to an A-shaped chord at C, you've now got C. So you will find the easiest places to play all these chords with a bar chord shape. So if you take something, I'm not going to say the name of the song so I don't get a copyright strike, because this is a chord progression for 100 songs. You might recognise the way I play it, or what it is. But so if you take G, D, so we're going G is an E-shaped chord at the G note, then D major is an A shape at the D note, which is the 5th fret. So you can write down the fret numbers too, that will really help you to come back and forward to it. And then we go to E minor at the 7th fret with an A minor shape, root note based on the A string. And then C, which is an A shape at the C note or the 3rd fret, which is where your bar finger is. We're always naming it on where your bar finger is, not the others. And always remember there's a fret gap between your A shape and your bar finger. Same as said for the E minor shape. There's always that full bar gap, whether there's a finger in there or not. So if we get this G, D, E minor and C shaped chords, so you learn a song, you learn that particular song, and then someone says, oh, no, we were going to do it lower. We were going to do it in F because the G is just too high for the singer's voice. You go, oh, okay, let's go to F, and you play exactly the same shape with the same distance between the chords, and you get patterns, which is, if you see I'm playing an identical thing and it sounds lower because I'm here. My start position is here rather than here. Okay? Some people call this the cage system because it's caged in a box, and then you repeat those patterns. And that's fine. That is one part of the cage system as well. There are tons of parts of the cage system. It's an all-encompassing thing that will some people are like, they don't like the cage system. It's because they've learned one part. If you learn a part that really works for you, then you take that knowledge into the next part. It'll start making sense. All right, we're going to end with a little exercise. Again, this has been rapid fire. This is like a term of lessons crammed into here without any songs, finer details on music theory. This is like a 10-week course in about, so far, 40 minutes. So we're going to be about 45 minutes, 50 minutes. But my reason for it being rapid fire is to go back and forward, and you can go back to the beginning and go over different parts as you want to get to know them. But this is your final exercise. This is an exercise to build muscle in your hands for bar chords. So if we take the E shape and we slide up to the A fret, and we're keeping the bar finger curved. It's not flat like the painful way. This will be, if it's your first time doing it, it'll be slightly painful. It's nothing on the pain of when it's flattened right out. So this will start building that muscle. And once the pain goes away from doing that regularly, go to start adding that in, keep going back and forth between open and closed. Okay, so we've got E as an open chord with your bar finger available. We'll start better habits to get up to the A, open A. You can go to B, and the D also works too on the 10th fret. Cool. Alright, I hope you got lots out of that. One thing I really have to mention about bar chords is even after I started playing in 95, as I said, the very end of 95, so if I haven't played a gig in a long time and I turn up and I'm going to play some songs with lots of bar chords, and I haven't been playing guitar or haven't been playing bar chords in particular, that's going to hurt. That is a regular thing for every player, is that it hurts. You have to build up those muscles. Again, like the athlete, you need to be in training as a musician. No matter what type of music you play, you need to be in training and regularly doing it. And that's part of what is so important about practice, is actually having you physically in shape for what you do. If you're going to be a singer and you're going to run around a stage like, say, an Axl Rose or someone who still runs around the stage at, he must be nearing 60, he's still running around the stage and singing up a storm, you need to be physically in shape to do that. And it's the same thing with guitar. You need this muscle going. As a singer, it's the entire body. So as a guitar player, you worry about your hands, back, that sort of thing. And start looking at, I'll do some other videos in the near future that'll be for sale on the website about techniques that are better for your body, like not doing rhythms like this and damaging your elbow and your shoulders and posture and holding the guitar correctly if you're sitting down. Because sitting down is different to standing up. If you stand up, you watch my arm go out. Yep. See it come out like a chicken wing, like I'm going to fly. You know, like that. That's where your guitar hand actually should be. Cool. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't hesitate to leave comments in the stream. I'll answer those after I've had some lunch. Be nice. You don't need to be rude to each other or anything like that. There's no need for that. Let's just leave some comments, and if people are leaving comments that you know some answers on, encourage the people that are in the chat. Cool. Thank you so much for watching, for everyone that's come watched all of these live streams or come to the workshops live and talks live. We've really appreciated all of you guys. A huge thank you to all the tutors that have come along. Rebecca Dorsey, Danny Urquhart, Mark Reeves, Lee Clark. I've done a whole bunch of them too. Cool. I hadn't seen the comments. I just saw one there. Yes, Peggy. I'll find you a slot. Give me a holler. That'll be good. Cool. But I'd like to do a big shout out and a huge thank you from where's the sign? Bedford School of Music. Want to really shout out to the Arts Council, Creative New Zealand, and the Waitaki District Council for making all of this possible. this was as much an experiment for me to see how the live stream side of it was going to work, because I think it's cooler than I thought a lot of other people were, but I've been blown away by the numbers on the live streams. The live streams have hit some really, really large numbers, and we're really grateful for that, and we're going to do more live stream workshopping in the future, and we have some concepts going on about live streamed music festival where we incorporate artists from anywhere in the country or the world and live stream it out to all of you, and we'll do some live performances here at the Bedford School of Music, and I'll be talking to some other cool and iconic venues that I've worked with before, and so look out for that. The Future is Now live stream festival, which will be May 2024, and there'll be workshops with that as well, and there'll be lots of workshops between now and then that all of you will be made available to. Look forward to hearing from all of you in the comments, and private message me if you prefer. I'm keen to talk with all of you about where you all want to go as musicians, and we're going to have flexi lessons available on pretty much all the sites that you can see this on, that the co-hosts are on. The Songpots Corner music lessons page, which is for songwriters, the music, drama and dance workshop page, the Bedford School of Music entertainment page, and the Bedford School of Music online international page. There's probably one I'm forgetting. These things will all be available on all those sites connected with the education. I'll be Jae Bedford Entertainer and Music Teacher page. There'll be flexi lessons available in the near future that you can purchase, and also I'll send you files, and you can go over those as often as you want. We've been working on those for quite some time, and I look forward to making those available. And there's lessons here in person in Oamaru, New Zealand, and we have drum lessons here with Mark Reeves, who did the workshop the other day. If you're in Dunedin, you can either come to singing guitar or anything with me online, but if you're in Dunedin and you're looking for a vocal coach and you want it one-on-one, face-to-face, I will highly recommend Danny Urquhart. Her workshop today was incredible, and I agree with 95% of everything she said, which is huge. It's huge for music teachers to totally agree. I think her philosophy is amazing. Cool. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the near future. Please feel free to contact us here at the Bedford School of Music. Thank you.